Welcome back, everyone. This is part 3 of 3 of our 25-way Graphene Ceramic Coatings Longevity Test. This is going to be quite a long video, so pull up a chair and it's going to be pretty interesting. So here is our first product. This is called Foretoo 10H. It was purchased on Amazon, made in China, and you're going to see that I've already measured the gloss and the UV resistance, and we can get into that as the video goes on here. I'm including my notes on the install as well as the instructions, but this one had a very strong, like a foul odor almost, and it was very, very greasy. When I say greasy, I mean it's going to be quite difficult to completely get off. Easy way to tell that these coatings are made in China, you see the lid. Once you take it off, it has that little stopper. Only the Chinese coatings have that for some reason. The little stopper inside the cap. EELHOE. This is one from AliExpress, advertised as a 12H plus hardness, and when it arrived it came in a plastic bottle, 10H plus V2 Pro graphene hydrocoat. It hits all those key words. $3.10 shipped from China. It smells like soap and water. I mean it seriously does. It has no odor, no solvent odor, no chemical odor, anything like that. So I applied it. I'm going to show you here. It actually completely evaporated on its own. Watch that. On to Turtle Wax, Max Wax Graphene Infused. Made in US, it actually lost a little bit of gloss. It's insignificant. Anything more or less than 2 gloss units is insignificant. So keep that in mind. Just because it lost some gloss doesn't mean visually you would see a difference. Humans can only detect about 5 to 10 gloss units in difference. So if it changes plus or minus a few, it's not a big deal. Max Wax installs much like a traditional wax, where you gotta rub kind of hard to remove it when it hazes up, but it reminded me of a traditional wax as far as application. Turtle Wax Flex Wax. This one actually gained a little bit of gloss. The big downside of this is it gets tacky very quickly, difficult to remove, and this is in a not humid, air-conditioned shop. If you were doing this outside, I think this would be a little difficult to deal with. Each time that I'm installing, alongside it I have a piece of transparency, and on the bottom half I'm installing the product onto it, and that's what we're using for our UV resistance, and we'll get to that towards the end of the video here. So our meter that we're using is a certified, calibrated, well accepted as a professional gloss meter, and it's nearly $3,000 for that meter. Make sure we have the most accurate results. And as you've heard me talk about before, I've had other gloss meters that I've tried and I couldn't get consistent results. This one produces consistent results. Here we have 303. This is the batch 20302. It failed in my 8-way Graphene Products Test. Gold Eagle sent me a new one to try. However, they assure everyone and myself that nothing was wrong with this batch. They pulled it, tested it, and they said there's nothing wrong, but we'll send you a new batch. So they sent me a new batch. This is probably the last time I'm going to test this and the replacement batch, but I'm trying not to beat a dead horse here, but basically, in my experience testing this particular batch, it's going to fail quicker than the replacement batch. So either something was different or they changed something, but there's obviously some difference between these two. And of course, everything on this hood we're doing 2 coats, except for one product, the IGL EZ Graphene, which is 1 layer, 1 coat product. Everything else, 2 layers. So this is the replacement batch that 303 had sent me free of charge, no cost to me. It is batch 20317. So if you guys do own either one of these, check the number, see what your batch is, and see if your results compare to mine. Another note on UV resistance, which again I'll get in towards the end of the video. Most of these products advertise that they're some kind of UV resistant. However, when I dig further into it, researching a little more, I really can't find any way they measure it. There's no standard test that I could find that they measure it against. Then further, I can't tell how much resistance, like if they have anything resistant and that qualifies. There's really not a lot of information out there. The meter that I'm using is called an X-Tech UV 505, and it's made by FLIR Instruments. It's not an inexpensive meter. There are several Chinese cheap meters out there that I didn't want to trust, especially, you know, with the amount of money and time that's gone into this test. So I wanted to make sure I had a good meter. I did a lot of research to make sure I knew how to use it, and I think we've succeeded. Here's the Foretoo Ceramic Spray Graphene. This also came on Amazon. If you follow the prices on this product, it's all over the place. It's been as cheap as $6. It's been as high as $30. When I bought it, it was $16.99. You can see actually it gained 2.8 gloss units, which is that is significant. The UV resistance, it pretty much has nothing. It's also very foul smelling, like their ceramic coating, and it is very, very greasy, oily. A lot of silicone or something in it. But when I went to level it, it just kept smearing it. Flip the towel often, go get a new towel. It just kept smearing it. Perfect. Adam's Graphene Ceramic Spray Coating came without a sprayer for some reason. Advertised as a UV reactive coating. They have a light that you can buy with this that it can help you see high spots. It did gain some gloss, about 1.8 gloss unit, and it actually had a slight UV resistance where many of these had none, or it actually made it worse. This actually had a slight UV resistance when it was tested. Ethos Resist Graphene Hybrid Coating. It says it's a sealant on the instructions. It's revolutionary spray sealant. So I don't know if you call it a coating or a sealant. They kind of call it both. It lost gloss and had no UV resistance. However, it was buttery smooth to install and remove. This one actually did come with a sprayer. Fortunate that we have a detail shop and I have a drawer full of sprayers to rob and use those for this test. Xtreme Solutions Graphene Ceramic Spray. It did gain 1.8 gloss units also and had a slight amount of UV resistance. You'll find if you do a little research, Google the name B&B Blending, you'll see that they manufacture a lot of these products, the Atoms, the Ethos, the Graphene, or the Glassparencies. They may have their proprietary formula, but it's essentially very similar. So if you look at the SDS in my part 1 of 3, you'll see that there's a lot of similarities between some of these products. Not saying there's anything wrong with white labeling, it's just I wish they were a little more open about it. Glassparency Graphene Spray Coating, advertised as 1+ years. It gained 2.9 gloss units, which I believe is the highest in the test, and it had nearly no UV resistance. It smells very similar to Adam's spray, but it's slightly more difficult to level. Has a very similar odor. And again, I'm not straight up sniffing these. I'm kind of wafting them towards my nose, because some of these are pretty nasty if you inhale them. Again, if you watched my part 1 of 3 of this series, you'll learn that there's some nasty chemicals in some of these products. They can cause skin burns and things like that. IGL Kenzo Graphene Reinforced. It is a 2-part coating, advertised 5 years of protection, lost a slight amount of gloss and no UV resistance in the test. The base coat on the graphene version is very greasy, and you have to level the top coat pretty quickly. And I say that quickly compared to the original. The original wasn't quite as greasy feeling, and you had a little bit more time to work with, in my opinion. Both are pretty good products. We've been installing those in our shop, so that's why you see IGL Kenzo. That I like to put that in a lot of my tests, because that's what we install in our shop. Turtle wax, Graphene Ceramic Paste Wax. There's your batch number. It's made on the 7th day of January 2021. This came from the Turtle Wax YouTube promo kit that they sent out to all the YouTubers. They had actually reached out to me and said, hey, we're going to send you one. So I said, all right, send it to me. In the meantime, 2 days prior to that, I had actually already ordered this on my own. So I actually got 2 different batches. I'm going to test them both, see if they did something separate to the promo kit. It's not that I don't trust any of these companies, but I don't trust any of these companies. I will test it out, see if there's any difference versus what everybody else can buy versus what they sent me. So we've got both of them. It is very simple to use. It wipes off like butter. It's not like a traditional wax. So very easy to use. Both of them gained measurable amount of gloss. Here's the second one. This is the BNL batch, where the other batch was ANL. Manufactured on the same day, the 7th day of January 2021. That's an international day, month, year. In the US, we do it differently, which is odd because this is made in the US. There's the 2 batches side by side. It does not come with an applicator. You spend $35 on a bowl of wax, and it doesn't come with a little 50-cent applicator. So yeah, again, this stuff super easy to use. Just comes off like butter. I was expecting it to be more like a traditional wax, where you had to actually apply some pressure to remove it. Here's IGL Kenzo, the standard version, non-graphene version. I wanted to have this in the test. Since I had the Kenzo graphene, I wanted to have the non-graphene right next to it. You can see gloss level lost slightly. Again, no UV resistance in the test. Base is greasy, but not as greasy as the graphene version. So one benefit to this product is it's much easier to apply down here in Texas in hot and humid climates. A lot of these coatings, they are not very humidity and warm weather friendly. Like if you apply them where they say wait 3 to 5 minutes, you can't do that. You won't be able to remove it. So here's SPS Graphene Surface Protective Solutions made by ArtDeShine, Alfred Yao. And I don't know if it's made in Canada or in Asia. I really can't get a straight answer out of anybody. It did lose quite a bit amount of gloss, 2.3 gloss units. So again, more or less than 2 is substantial. So it did lose some gloss. Now that's different than depth of color. You know, the darker amount of color, that's different than gloss. If we have a way to quantify that, I would gladly measure that. All we've got to go by is our eyes. Adams Graphene 10H ceramic coating. It is a 10H UV reactive. They have that light again that you can use. The gloss was measured exactly the same before and after the application, and it has a slight UV resistance to it. Very, very strong solvent odor to it, and it's slightly tacky. It's like a traditional ceramic coating where if you don't get it off quick enough, it's going to get really tough. But you can see it starts to rainbow. That's when it's flashing. That's when you need to remove it. So I stopped it there around 2 minutes, and that's what we did for leveling.
Make sure it sound right, boys.
Drive Auto Appearance Victory Nano Graphene. This was in my 8-way test, and it failed early on for some reason. I don't know if it was an application or if it's a bad batch. This is the same batch. It did lose gloss. It lost 2.6 gloss units. It's a very familiar odor. I do a lot of these tests. I smell a lot of familiar smells. I don't know if it's a white label of something else. The scent that it has is very familiar to me. I can't quite put my finger on which one it is, but I have smelled it before. And again, I'm not saying it's another company's product. It's just there may be some similar chemicals in it. They like to have proprietary mixtures. Xtreme Solutions Graphene Ceramic Coating gained exactly 1 gloss unit. It has, again, no UV resistance in the test. Very easy to use, easy to wipe on, wipe off, no issues there. This is another one, I believe, mixed by B&B blending, which again goes back to Adams and B&B blending. I'm not going to start any conspiracy theories. You can search B&B blending on your own on the Googles. You can read all about it.
Sound right, boy.
Glassparency Graphene Coating. They are new to getting into their coatings and other products that they started selling. Again, this is another B&B blending, or at least it appears that way. It gained 1.2 gloss units, no UV resistance in the test, very easy to install, no issues, very straightforward product. If you're a DIYer, be a very easy product to use.
It sound right, boy.
Ethos Graphene Matrix Coating. This one actually gained 1.1 gloss units. Again, no UV resistance in the test. Have to apply it in 65 to 75 degrees or 18 to 24 degrees Celsius and let it flash for 1 to 3 minutes, then wipe off, and 1 hour between the coats. So we made sure all of that happened. I originally ordered this for my 8-way graphene test, or I'm sorry, not my 8-way, my 38-way hood test that I started. Ordered it with about 2 or 3 weeks to spare, and Ethos dropped the ball and it just sat and they never shipped it. When they finally saw the video that there was a space for their product, I finally got my order shipped, but they didn't send me it for free or anything. I paid full price for it like everybody else does. So this is from that. So I ordered it in January, it showed up early February, and here we are mid-April for May 1st test. But it had not been opened until right now. Drive Auto Appearance Victory Nano. This is the Nano Pro Coat, the blue bottle. I have tested the brown one in the past, but this blue one has never been opened. Made in USA, it actually lost a slight amount of gloss, but again, insignificant as long as it's plus or minus 2. Very easy to install, no issues. It does smell very similar to their graphene product, but if this is anything like the other product that he had in the brown bottle there, this one's going to be one of the ones to contend with. My 42-way test, which is going on 2 years old, it's hanging in there with the rest of them. IGL EZ. This is 1 layer, 1 year coating. It lost the most amount of gloss compared to others. 3 gloss units, no measured UV resistance. It has a very strong solvent odor, and it gets tacky very quickly. So if you're going to install this outside in a warm or humid climate, pretty much when you wipe it on, you got to wipe it off. I don't think you could afford to wait 1 to 2 minutes like it says here. I waited 1 minute, and again, this is in my air-conditioned shop, nice and comfortable, low humidity, like 40% humidity, and it still got tacky very quickly. So it's based on this being in my other test, it's extremely hydrophobic, but it looks like it's going to be tricky to install. Maybe they'll change it, maybe they won't, I don't know, but that is something to keep in mind with this product. So IGL doesn't have a lot of end user products for like DIYers. They like to have a lot of professional stuff. And so this is a DIY. So here's a pre-production graphene sample A. I can't say the name of the company. They don't want it mentioned yet. It's still, they're still tweaking things, and they said that they would send a sample to me, throw it on there, let's see how it does. Fairly easy to use. It has an odor to it. It's different than all the others. I can't quite put my finger on it. Like it's a chemical smell, but it's not crazy strong. So we left it for 2 minutes per layer. Wipes off pretty easy. Here's a pre-production sample B. At the time of this, which right now it's the 11th day of April 2021, as I've applied everything here, nothing yet. Glossit Graphene Coating. This is a pre-production coating, not quite ready. Rich Light reached out to me, said he wanted to have this in the test, so here it is. Available soon. Measured gloss of 0.3 gloss unit increase, and it has a slight UV resistance. There's a slight solvent odor to it, but not extremely strong. Nothing annoying or anything like that. And here is the spot we're going to put it on the hood, since we already have a space for everything else. Had a usable space right along the right side, so I made an additional graphic for it. So now on to the application. Give it 2 minutes to flash, and seems like plenty of time. It's much easier to work with than some of the earlier Glossit products. They were pretty difficult to apply in humid climates or warm and humid climates like Texas. Same with the others. We always apply the product to our transparency sample for UV testing. And I'm actually going to show you here how it was tested. This was filmed on a different day. This is, you can see that the milliwatt is much lower. So the gloss that is applied to the bottom part, you can see it hit 0.49 as the lowest part as opposed to 0.51. Has a very slight UV resistance. Here's the final product. This picture doesn't reflect gloss it, obviously. So now it's going to sit in our shop for 2 weeks. Let it cure, and then we're going to set it outside and do our first wash and our first rinse on it. Here are all of the samples for the UV, and they sat inside the shop for about a day. Let them cure. They didn't touch each other. Everything is face up. So here's our X-Tech, and the reason I didn't show the videos of these is because I was struggling to get consistent results with it, like on demand, where I would go and measure it 2 different times, and I would get 2 similar results, but not exact. The accuracy of this meter is plus or minus 5%. If it shows that it's blocking UV of 0.3 or 0.5, that's insignificant. It is of note that it has lost a little bit or gained a little bit, but it's not crazy. It's not major. Just to make sure, I wanted to test this out. I wanted to try some sunscreen, which is known for UV blocking abilities, and I wanted to try a piece of paint protection film on top of it too, which is advertised to block 99% of UV. So this unit measures UVA and UVB light waves. It measures in milliwatts and microwatts. So the MW you see is milliwatts. Microwatts, this meter will read up to 4,000, which would be 4 milliwatts. So here is sunscreen. It's a little, so indirect sunlight, 3.5. Hold the sunscreen over, goes down to 0.2, 0.3. So it is doing its job. It is blocking the UV. So here's paint protection film. Look at that, 0.07. I would call that 99%. So we can change it over to microwatts. Nearly none. So paint protection film blocks almost all of the UV light. Sunscreen blocks a lot of the UV light. So on that note, the reason I think that the UV blocking abilities of these products are so poor is because when you think of like paint protection film, that's 200 to 250 microns thick, where a typical ceramic coating is half of a micron. Some are as thick as 1, but usually half to 0.8 microns, all the way up to 1 micron thick. So it just doesn't have the thickness to be able to block the UV rays like you think. So the way that these products are being tested in a lab or something like that, I'm sure there's a methodology where they can say, oh yeah, okay, it's shown it's going to block a little bit of UV rays, but maybe their sample is 10 microns thick or 20 microns thick or 100. That's my thought behind that. Take that with a grain of salt. But that's my thoughts behind the UV. You know, we attempted to measure it. I'm not sure if you'd call that successful or not. I'd be interested to hear in the comments your thoughts about that. This was my process, my ability. I tried to quantify and take the time to measure all of the UV blocking abilities of these products. And I think that some of them may block some, but I think overall, don't be selling any of this that it is going to repel UV, because in my experience here, it doesn't. And I showed you that something that's advertised like sunscreen or paint protection film, which always talks about UV, it does indeed block that. So stay tuned. May 1st, we're going to have the first wash and first rinse of everything and see if we've got any failures. Thanks again, guys. This completes the 3-part series for the setup for our graphene coatings test. I do have a 41-way non-graphene coatings test that will be starting the same day. So I'm sure if you're subscribed already, you've probably watched all those videos, because I'm uploading both of this series and that series here at the same time. Doing all of the application in mid-April, so all of these products have plenty of time to cure. The other test, I have 1 or 2 products that need 14 days to fully cure, so that's why I'm trying to stay ahead of it. And here we go, guys. Thanks again for watching. Make sure you're subscribed, smash that like button, comment down below. I'd really like to hear your thoughts about the UV. Thanks.